The film commences with a man named Victor who woke up from a deep slumber. As he opened his eyes, he found himself in a room filled with confusion. His gaze landed on a photograph of himself with a woman, igniting a spark of recognition, but what caught his attention even more was the strange phenomenon happening around him, objects disintegrating before regenerating mysteriously. Eager to explore, Victor attempted to leave his room, only to be startled by a figure missing a body part. Perplexed by these strange occurrences, Victor ventured into a world where gravity seemed twisted and buildings defied logic. Big Ben stood next to the Capitol and the Burj Khalifa towered over Venice. While Victor stared at one of these peculiar structures, he envisioned its original form, and to his amazement, it transformed right before his eyes. However, his newfound curiosity was short-lived as he noticed a creature lurking nearby, its intentions ominous. Realizing he was the target of an imminent attack, Victor's heart raced. Just as the creature lunged towards him, two men and a woman came to his rescue. They were known as Reapers, peculiar beings with their own set of abilities. Together, they fled from the pursuing creature, navigating through an abyss with gravity-defying logic. Their escape led them through China, a realm formed from the memories of coma patients, and finally to a safe haven in Venice. But the creature persisted, refusing to be defeated even after being shot. With no other option, one of Victor's companions made the ultimate sacrifice, taking the creature down with a devastating explosion. Confused and seeking answers, Victor turned to the woman who had saved him. She revealed that they were all inhabitants of a coma world, a realm where those who lay in comas in the real world found themselves. The buildings and places they encountered were nothing but memories manifested. The woman introduced herself as Fly, possessing the extraordinary ability to heal wounds. Intrigued, Victor joined them on a bus, discovering that its front and back doors led to different dimensions, each promising new adventures. Arriving at their base, they were questioned about the pilot who had sacrificed himself. A heated discussion broke out, but it was soon resolved by their leader, Yan, and Phantom, the man who had aided Victor. Fly explained that they believed Victor held the key to an island where they could find refuge from the relentless attacks of the Reapers. That night, Victor found himself in a room filled with his own dreams. Sketches, billboards, buildings, and corridors flashed before his eyes, reminding him of the accidents that had led to his coma. When he woke, he discovered his room transformed, mirroring the images from his dreams. Phantom warned him not to venture into this dream space, as it could lead to an inescapable labyrinth where one could lose themselves forever. While their identities in the real world remained forgotten, each possessed unique abilities tied to their past lives. The following day, Victor underwent a test to uncover his latent powers. Among his companions were Fly, the healer spirit, who sensed the presence of Reapers and summoned spirits; Astronomer, a master of mapping gnomes, skilled mechanics, and the deceased pilot, who could locate newcomers to the coma world to unlock their hidden potential. They often faced dangerous challenges. Victor's first test involved catching a cannonball fired at him, but his abilities eluded him. Next, he confronted a formidable machine devised by Gnome. Though battered and bruised, Victor displayed fleeting glimmers of power, marked by ethereal lines that faded away. Curious about Victor's past, Phantom inquired about his profession. Victor, an architect, was henceforth referred to as the Architect, though his true abilities remained unknown. That night, Victor experienced the same dream. This time he noticed subtle details hinting at a hospital setting. Yan shed light on the time difference between the coma world and reality, explaining that a single day in the real world equated to several months in their realm. Yan himself had spent 15 years there, convinced that people could survive for thousands more. Assigned with a mission, Victor and his companions embarked on a quest to retrieve explosives from a submarine buried within Cable's memories. Along the way, Astronomer revealed that their room's dream space contained valuable information from their past lives. As they discussed, Spirit sensed the presence of Reapers overhead, but Astronomer assured them that they were still 2 days' journey away. Reapers emerged from those who experienced brain death in comas, detecting humans through a unique signal. Gnome had even created a whistle to lure the creatures, allowing one to sacrifice themselves and eradicate the threat. However, Reapers could also infect others, transforming them into their own kind. Finally reaching the submarine port, they were met with armed guards from Cable's memories. Impatient, Phantom launched an attack, triggering a firefight. Spirit and Astronomer combined their abilities to overcome the guards. With their enemies defeated, Astronomer reprimanded Phantom for endangering them with his impulsive actions, which could attract more Reapers. Phantom, however, arrogantly justified his actions as the group leader. Undeterred by the chaos, they proceeded inside to retrieve the delicate torpedoes. One wrong move could spell disaster, as the torpedoes were highly volatile. 4 of them grasped the chains to lift the armament, while Cable detached it from the ship. In the midst of their efforts, Spirit sensed the Reaper's presence seconds, forcing them to pause. Phantom ordered some of their group to handle the Reapers, while Cable, Gnome, and Victor continued their tasks, struggling to bear the weight of the chain. Victor sought assistance from Fly and Astronomer, who swiftly came to his aid. In a fit of anger, Phantom fires at the chain, causing it to snap. This results in Cable and the torpedo slipping from the submarine. Amidst the high tension, the architect uses his power to create a ramp out of nowhere, allowing Cable and the torpedo to slide down safely. Yan, aware of Victor's abilities, suggests that the architect should construct a completely new island for them. Rather than using the sites built from their memories, he argues that a fresh place, free from any memory, would be safe from the Reapers. Yan announces that they'll be departing their base the next morning. He then appoints the Astronomer as the new team leader due to Phantom's reckless behavior. Losing his position infuriates Phantom, who threatens to expose Yan's secrets to the entire group. While the others are asleep, the architect attempts to create something using his mind, but he fails. Fly observes him and realizes that he hasn't yet learned to control his abilities, so she reprimands him for telling Yan that he can build the island. She points out that the architect was able to produce a blueprint when he was focused and moving his hand, so the architect tries again. He begins to visualize a 3D layout until it materializes and gradually transforms into a model of a spiral-shaped building. Fly examines the model and asks the architect if she could see his memories. When they enter his room, she notices the overturned car and deduces that Victor had been in an accident. Victor reveals that before he fell into a coma, he was in the car to meet with a potential client, but the meeting turned out to be a trap. Fly mentions that she only has a few memories of her past, and the only thing she remembers is that she can't be with the person she loves. She leans in to kiss the architect, saying that the coma has made it possible. The next day, they are all prepared to go to the island. While the Astronomer is explaining the route of the trip, Phantom secretly takes a whistle from Gnome's bag. Midway through their journey, Spirit alerts them of the Reaper's presence. They are unaware that the Reapers could detect their presence due to the detectors that have been activated by Phantom. They then start to split up. An Astronomer instructs Victor to climb the hill to find a different route, but Phantom intentionally follows Victor, causing the Reaper to be drawn towards Victor due to the signal from his whistle. When the Reaper gets close to Victor, a man named Hank manages to shoot the Reaper, allowing them to escape. Then Phantom sneaks his whistle into Victor's jacket, intending to frame him. Unfortunately for him, the team is able to figure out his malicious plan. Phantom realizes what has happened and his body starts to transform into a Reaper. However, just as he is about to say it, he is shy Yan, but he manages to run away from that place. The number of Reapers is increasing because many of them have been infected. Those who have no power are forced to die. Phantom, realizing that his body is already falling apart, tries to attract a Reaper's attention using the whistle, but the creature ignores him. While the others are struggling to escape from the Reapers, a light suddenly appears, and Victor awakens from his coma and begins to recall all of the events that happened to him and led to his coma. In his memory, he recalls an incident while he is with his girlfriend, and it turns out that her lover is Fly. They're on their way to a sect's headquarters, as they have received an invitation from Victor's client. Arriving there, the girl, who is already suspicious of the clients, gives him an electric shocker and warns him that the client is a notorious sect that might use his designs malevolently. Victor then enters the building and passes the rooms that he had seen in his dream. It turns out that there is already a man waiting for him, and that man is Yan. In the real world, Yan turns out to be a scientist who is developing a project dealing with life in a coma. Yan deliberately invites Victor there to help him build a safe place from the Reapers in the comatose world. He claims to have discovered a brain condition in coma patients that allows them to access a different world. Yan invites Victor since he knows that Victor is an architect, but Victor refuses Yan's request. Yan is then assisted by his men in putting Victor to sleep. Luckily, the taser he brought with him earlier helps him escape from there. As Fly is driving, she doesn't focus on the road and causes them to collide with a truck. As a result, Yan and his men take the bodies of Victor and Fly to be treated at the hospital. After Victor awakens from unconsciousness, Yan tells him who they really are. He reveals that the religious sect was only a cover to help them raise funds for their operation, and their plan to give a new world to everyone through the project they are developing is real. Of course, Yan would not succeed without Victor's help to create a comatose world. This is because the greatest fear in the comatose world is the Reapers. Everyone in the room had been injected into a coma by Yan. Plus, it turns out that Phantom's memory has actually recovered, but he wants to stay in his coma to avoid having to deal with the realities of life in the real world. Therefore, Yan wants Victor to build his project in a coma world, but Victor refuses and does not want to interfere with their plans. Yan then warns Victor that if Fly is touched by the Reaper, her brain will die, and Yan promises to release them both once Victor completes Yan's construction project in the comatose world. world. In the end, Victor has no choice and decides to save Fly, who is still unconscious. After that, Victor wakes up again in his apartment. Meanwhile, Fly and the others have started to surrender to their situation before the Reapers can launch their attack. Victor arrives to take them to an island where he will begin work on Yan's project. Once they arrive, Victor begins to use his abilities to create a new island for them to live on. The place that was originally empty has now been built into a magnificent futuristic building. However, just as they are about to enter, Yan reveals a fact that they have all personally experienced in the real world. Spirit, who turns out to be from a mental institution, suffers from frequent hallucinations and convulsions. She has no family and has recently lost her only child, Tang, stressed about losing his family in an accident that occurred due to his drunkenness. Astronomer also turns out to be autistic and taken care of by his very old parents. And Victor, his architectural design idea was too far ahead of his time, causing it to be unrealistic, so no one wanted to go with the design. In addition, Fly leaves him. They had a fight because of his unrealistic architectural design, and Victor was becoming too emotional. It turns out that Victor's construction project is only being used by Yan to live in himself in a coma world, while all of them are not allowed to live there. Not long after, Tank's body begins to fade. It turns out that in the real world, Yan's men have cut off their oxygen supply. They have tried to fight back, but their efforts are in vain. Astronomer then tells them that if they want to wake up in the real world, they must first find their actual bodies in the dream world. They head back to the headquarters and step into the dream within Victor's room. Inside the hospital, they search for each of their bodies in a room. However, it appears that the state of the dream world has altered because everything in it is now linked to the memories of people in a coma. As a result, Victor will need to recall any details that could guide them to his coma room. Once Victor remembers the specifics of his room, they can start their search for it. At this point, Astronomer's body begins to disappear. Yan is already there waiting for them. He prevents Fly and Victor from finding the body, but unexpectedly, Phantom, who has turned into a Reaper, comes to Victor and Fly's aid by attacking Yan, causing Yan to dissolve. A few moments later, Victor finally wakes up from his coma and sees Fly, who is still unconscious. He then tries to wake her up before they are quickly taken away from there. Yan's men arrive in the ward, only to discover that Yan has died. Before the film concludes, the couple soon finds out that there will be no charges against Yan's sect due to a lack of evidence against them. Victor has started to design ordinary buildings to attract potential clients. Moreover, Fly has become even more supportive of Victor's efforts in his architecture job, and with that, the film comes to an end, and with that, the movie ends. We hope you enjoyed our video. Watch the next recaps on the screen, and don't forget to subscribe for more amazing recaps. See you in the next one.